Sometime around 1998, in a research yard where wolves were raised by hand from infancy, bottle-fed, carried around, slept beside, a scientist pointed at a cup. Under one of two identical cups was food. The wolf had watched nothing. It had no way to know, except that a human being was standing there with an arm extended, a finger aimed directly at the answer, the most obvious gesture in the world. A gesture so simple that a human toddler solves it before learning to speak. The wolf looked at the finger. It looked at the man. It went to the wrong cup. Then they brought in a dog. Nobody trained it. Nobody prepared it. The dog looked at the finger and went where it was pointing, like this was the least interesting thing that had ever been asked of it. That comparison launched 20 years of argument, and the argument is still going. But hidden inside it, underneath the shouting about which animal is smarter, is a question about you. Because if a dog can read a human gesture that a wolf raised by humans can't, then the dog isn't just being clever. The dog is doing something to you. It's treating you as a source of information, which means it has an opinion about what you are. And that's the question almost nobody asks about the animal sleeping against their leg tonight. Does your dog know you're not a dog? Not whether it loves you, something colder. Does it understand, somewhere under the fur, that you are a fundamentally different kind of creature? 2 legs, bare face, no tail, a smell like nothing in its world? Or has it quietly filed you as a very tall, very strange member of its own kind and gone on with its evening? There's a comfortable answer, and you've heard it at every dog park on Earth. Your dog thinks you're its mom, or the big weird leader of its little pack. It's charming, it's also wrong, and we can be specific about why. In 2013, a French team led by Dominique Autier-Darion published a study in Animal Cognition asking a small question very carefully. Could dogs pick dogs out of a crowd? On faces alone, no smell, no sound? 9 pet dogs, a computer screen, over 100, and 40 pairs of images. Dog faces on one side, on the other, faces from 40 other species, humans included. Here's what makes it a real result and not a party trick. The dog faces included the whole absurd range our breeding has produced. A Chihuahua and a Great Dane are not obviously the same animal. They don't look alike. They barely look like the same idea. We spent centuries scrambling the signal, and the dogs sorted through it anyway. Every dog into one pile, everything else into the other. So the animal on your couch can look at a face and know whether it belongs to its kind, and it has looked at your face roughly 10,000 times. Then it gets stranger, from a direction nobody expected. In 2020, a Hungarian group, Bunford, Hernandez-Perez, Andix, and colleagues, put 20 awake dogs and 30 humans in an MRI scanner and showed both species the same videos, human faces, dog faces, and, as a control, the backs of heads. Awake, unrestrained dogs in a scanner, holding still voluntarily, is its own small miracle of patience. The human brains did what human brains do. Certain visual areas lit up for a face and stayed quiet for the back of a head. Faces are special to us. Our cortex is built around them. The dog brains did something else entirely. There was no region that cared whether it was looking at a face or the back of a skull. None. What the dog brain cared about, strongly in a region called the mid-supersylvian gyrus, was whose head it was, dog or not dog. Sit with that, because it's the strangest sentence in this story. Your dog's brain is not organized around faces. It is organized around species. And the researchers went further. They said this reinterprets the older studies that claim to find face areas in dogs. That extra activity wasn't dogs preferring faces, it was dogs preferring dogs. Which means your dog isn't confused about you at the level of behavior, or memory, or training. It's not confused at the level of cortex. The very first sorting its visual brain performs, before anything else, is us and not us. And you are filed on the far side of that line every time you walk into the room. That myth is dead. You are not a big dog to your dog. So now, the real problem. If it knows, why does it act like that? Because it does. It seeks you out and sleeps against your leg. It reads your mood off your posture the way it would read another dog's. It comes to you when it's frightened. Whatever category you're in, it isn't furniture, it isn't prey, it isn't some other species passing through. And here's the tell. Your dog also does things to you it would never do to another dog. A long look into the face is a challenge between dogs. It's how trouble starts. With you, it's the softest thing your dog does. And the barking. Adult wolves barely bark. Their bark is rare. Acoustically different, reserved for threat. Dogs bark constantly, and they tune it. One for the doorbell, one for the leash. One for the specific injustice of an empty bowl. And they adjust based on what you do about it. That's not dog-to-dog language. That's a channel opened in your direction and shaped by your responses, so you're not slotted in as a dog. You're slotted in as a non-dog that belongs to my group, with a set of behaviors borrowed from its own kind and a set invented for you. Which brings us back to that finger. And to the fight. The first camp, Brian Hare, Michael Tomasello, and the school that grew from them, took the wolf versus dog result and read it as evolution. Domestication rebuilt the dog, living alongside us for tens of thousands of years selected, generation by generation, for animals that watch us and read us. Reading a human isn't a trick a dog learns, it's a thing a dog is. The custom slot you occupy was carved by evolution, and every puppy is born with it already cut. Beautiful story. And then Monique Udell. Nicole Dorey and Clive Wynne took it apart. In 2008, they published a paper in Animal Behavior with a title designed to start a fight. Wolves outperform dogs in following human social cues. Their claim was that the original comparison had been rigged by circumstance. Test wolves that live with people daily in the right rearing environment, and they follow the pointing gesture, no training required. Meanwhile, take a pet dog outdoors instead of in a living room, and it fails. Take a shelter dog, a dog that never got the 10,000 human hours, and it fails. The gap wasn't wolf versus dog. It was experience versus no experience, wearing a costume. That's a genuinely uncomfortable finding. And it should be, because it aims at something we like believing, that our dogs came preloaded with us. Udell's version says no. The slot isn't inherited. It's built by you over years out of repetition. And then the fight got interesting, because the other side ran the experiment and half agreed. In 2009, Marta Gacci and the Hungarian group, Hare's allies, not Udell's, tested it themselves and confirmed the awkward part. Socialized adult wolves matched adult pet dogs on that pointing task. But they found something Udell's account doesn't explain. It took the wolves enormously longer to get there. Wolf pups struggled with the handler and bit her before attending to the signal. They took longer just to establish eye contact with the person pointing. Dogs arrive at this early, easily, almost carelessly. Wolves arrive late, and only after intensive socialization does the door open at all. So the honest answer is the one neither camp gets to own outright. Both things are true. A dog isn't born knowing what you are, but it is born ready to find out, wired to look up at a human and treat the answer as important. Nature builds the empty slot. Your 10,000 ordinary days fill it. Real question, and I want the honest one, not the sweet one. What do you think your animal actually thinks you are? Not what you'd like to be to it. Your real read. Tell me. I read them all, and if you want more of these, subscribe. It's the whole reason I get to keep making them. Now the part where a story like this wants to run off a cliff, so let me hold the wheel. None of this means your dog has a concept of species. It has no taxonomy, no chart, no word. Its category for you isn't an idea. It's a working bundle. Smell, voice, face, gait, assembled from experience. Functional, not abstract, and it isn't full theory of mind. Your dog is a magnificent reader of your cues, where you're looking, how you're standing, what your voice just did. But reading a cue is not inferring a thought. When your dog seems to know you're sad, it may be reading the slump and the silence rather than reasoning about your inner life, which is less flattering and, I'd argue, more impressive. It built the category anyway, with no words, no concepts, no abstractions, out of nose, ears, eyes, and time. Because here's where this lands. We spend the entire relationship deciding what our animals are to us. Pet, companion, family, if we're being soft about it. We are very sure we're the ones doing the classifying. Flip it. For 15 years, in a mind with no words in it, your dog has been running its own quiet classification of you. Every sense it owns aimed at the problem before it ever learned your name. And it reached a verdict because something had to go in that slot and nothing in its world was shaped like you. Not another dog. Its cortex settles that before you've finished walking through the door. Not a wolf, not prey, not a rival, not owner. That's our word. And it doesn't have words. Something else. Something it had to build a place for from scratch. And the whole answer sits in the thing it does every evening. The thing you stopped noticing years ago. It looks up into the middle of a face it knows perfectly well is not the face of its kind. A face its brain sorted into not us the first time it ever saw you. And it holds the look anyway. That's the verdict. It's been filed for years, you just don't get to read it.